beautiful. I think that the element of listening, even before you get to validate and being able to look for options, what I think trips people up about listening is that they get caught up in taking things personally. So my kids don't listen to me, or my kids say something mean. It's hard for me not to take that personally because it's personal. It's about me. It's my kids. Even if it's not directed at me and they've done something, it's clearly a reflection on my parenting because that's the way we think, right? Because I'm
Right.
supposed to have taught you to do better, and I know I told you to do better. So it's on me. So, how do we make the shift from taking things personally to recognizing that people are just in their story so that we can hold that safe space?
Well, I say, well, I think one of the most powerful statements I try to share with others is this: people see your actions, not your intentions.
Mm.
However, we have a tendency to judge other people by their actions, but judge ourselves by our intentions. So when somebody does something to us, we say, "How you did this to me? I can't, but you're malicious, you're purposeful." But when we hurt somebody, we go, "Well, I didn't mean to, so don't be angry." But when you really truly understand that, not just here, but here, you go, listen, somebody hurt me because they were stuck in darkness. They were stuck in a tough moment themselves. No one in a place of peace hurts others. It is only when we're struggling that we hurt others. And it's not enough to just know something. I was telling actually the men in this workbook that I'm doing right now, right before we talked, and that is this: knowledge is power if you use the knowledge. Knowledge itself
Mm.
is just beautiful sitting on a shelf. Like if I just had these books for looks, that would mean nothing. It's that I've read them, that I've integrated them, that I use them in my life, that I'm able to take the wisdom from many generations and share them with others. Knowledge by itself is just on a shelf, but knowledge that you use, that matters. So when we don't just say, "Oh, people see my actions, not my intentions," we live it. Now we go, you know what? Maybe I didn't fully communicate this lesson to my child. And guess what? That doesn't mean I'm a wrong or bad person. It just means as a teacher, I have to find a new way to say it. And the other thing with parenting is we demand that our children get it right away. And like, how many times have we messed up? How many times have people told me that there's probably better things I could be eating that are more healthy? And yet I'm 47 years old and I'm still eating stuff that's not healthy. I haven't gotten that lesson. I'm sure people could look at me and go, "I told you that 30 years ago." Taken
Oh,
me a while.
I love it. If for families that are caught in habitual patterns of managing anger in unhealthy ways, whether that's the way we view our own anger, each other's anger, or just the way we react as opposed to making space for responding, what would be your advice in terms of turning a new page and creating a new sort of culture within our homes?
It's such a beautiful question. And I really believe that one of the biggest challenges that gets in the way when we turn over that new page is ego. So maybe someone watches this us on our conversation and they say they get inspired by what we're talking about and they go, "Okay, I'm gonna change." So they go home and they change, but then their spouse, their loved ones, they don't get it in 2 seconds. So they go, "Well, then screw that." I tried. You didn't want to. And I call that the foot in the water principle. When you start to do something, but you don't actually, if you want to swim in a lake, you can't just tap your toe in. You got to dive in. That's swimming in it. And so I say avoid the foot in the water principle and instead dive all in. Change because you want to change. Change because you know that's your path. It sits with the essence of who you are. And don't expect or demand that anyone else around you gets it. But know this: the more you live your message over time, people will feel it. People will see it. People will respond to it. Their mirror neurons on the most basic level will respond to it. Let's say you get inspired, which would be, I would feel honored if somebody watched this and they heard you and me talking and they said, "I'm going to be less judgmental." Beautiful. I love that. Thank you. Guess what? If you are less judgmental and then the person doesn't get that right away, and then you're mad at them, now you're being judgmental. So me no judgmental goes, they go, "Well, you're probably judgmental because I've seen your face for 30 years and you make this face when you're judging." Then you have to go, "You know what? Maybe you're seeing something in me that I'm not seeing. Thank you." And so again, it's about being open to feedback constantly. And I
Mm.
think a good metaphor is this in sports, in the world of sports. So I'm a sports psychologist too, and I work with players, professional athletes, Olympians all over the world, some of the best athletes in their field. And what I see is this: we watch game film. So they see themselves on film, and when they watch it, they go, okay, I could have done this. I'm learning this. Next time, let me learn this. And it's not like, oh, I'm a terrible. No, they go, I need to learn. So I apply that principle to life. And I go, if I said something as a parent and I didn't say it effectively, I go, okay, let me learn to say it a little bit more effectively. I don't make the assumption that my daughter should get it every time I say something. I operate on the assumption that if I say it this way and it doesn't work, I'm going to try to say it differently and this way. I'll try to say it 1,000 different ways. Because, like I said, I'm still eating unhealthily. I haven't gotten that lesson yet. So I'm not going to demand that someone just magically gets whatever space I want them to get. Because sometimes it takes us a while to get lessons.
You talk there about saying things effectively. Do you have tips for how we express ourselves when we are in that angry space in a way that doesn't diminish or damage the relationships?
Yeah, I'd say I feel really uncomfortable right now. Like, I don't like how I feel. I feel angry. I don't like it. I want to scream. I want to yell. I want to say things right now, but I also know my emotions are going to come and go. And so I'm sure I'll work through this, but in this moment, like, I'm just furious. And sometimes that gives the space for your loved one to say, take some time to be furious. It's okay. Like, it's okay. Like, that's one of the best things my wife does. She'll be like, listen, however you feeling, you're supposed to be feeling like this. So go ahead and go into it. And she's a hypnotherapist, so she does a really good job at being able to just hold a space and be like, this is where you are. You're going to learn from it. If you're climbing up a mountain and your foot slips, now you know, cool, my foot slipped there. Don't put my foot there again. So why not just apply this to life? I'm angry. I feel this way. Let me step back. Okay. Now, people watching this, they might go, and I hear this. I hear this all the time. Oh, that's easy for you. You're an anger management specialist. So listen, it's easy because it's not easy. It's still a challenge, but I'm able to do it because I practiced it. We master what we practice. And if you practice being impulsive, you're going to master being impulsive. And if you want to reverse that and master patience, it's going to take time. And so you got to be able to step back and go, okay, it's going to take me some time. Let me give myself some time. I told you earlier, I don't play, I'm not musically inclined. My daughter's she's amazing, beautiful musician, phenomenal. I don't have a musical talent, but I knew when she had all this music talent, I always wanted to be doing what she's doing and be interested. So I started to learn guitar. And when I learn guitar, for somebody like me who doesn't really understand music, I just go one thing at a time, and I repetition. And what I found now, 2 years later, I can start to play songs because I just do the repetition. So maybe someone out there listening isn't patient. What I want you to know, start with this: understand you are not your thoughts. So if someone disagrees with your thoughts, they're not disagreeing with the essence of your soul. They're simply saying they don't agree with those thoughts in that moment. And the less attached you are to your thoughts, the easier it is for you to accept people having differences.
Okay. There's one more thing that I want to talk about because I think this is essential for us to look at how we view ourselves, our family members, our community, and even just people across the globe. And what you've written is there are no monsters among us, only people with stories. Can you touch on that one for us?
I believe that really profoundly. So I work with people who've done really awful, awful things. I don't even talk about what people have done because I don't think the world needs to hear about it. I don't even want that to be in the content of the universe. So I don't need to repeat that type of stuff. But when I see those people who've done those things that are, people don't even make movies about it, so bad. When I see those people and I listen to what happened to them, every single one of them had nightmare stories from themselves.
Mm.
And when we look at our own children, like, our daughter has never missed a day of meditation since she was 6.5 years old. So she's grown up in an environment with two parents who say, it's okay to feel how you feel. Let's talk things out. So yes, she's phenomenal human being. I believe she's going to change the world. She's a million times better than we are. And she is, I promise you, she's about to change this world. And, but we've given her a lot of that. We've given her like these understanding. What about children who don't have that, who have parents who violate their basic need of safety, and they break that because they're angry? You didn't do what I said, so I'm going to hurt you. And now this child who grows up in this world and says, this person is supposed to take care of me. And we often forget as parents, we're giants to our toddlers. We're giants to them. And when we're angry, and this is our safe person, and why? Because I didn't clean my room, I didn't pick up my toy, and now I violated your sense that you can hurt me now because of this. And so when then we think about the extreme hurt, there aren't monsters among us. If I could tell you differently, I'd tell you differently. The fact is, I go into places that most people don't even know exist, let alone will ever have access to going into. And I walk in freely. And when I see these people, I see every single one of them. Now, that being said, I don't make excuses for people, and there are certainly consequences. And some people need to be incarcerated the rest of their lives because if they get out, they're going to do real damage to a lot of people. And so I understand that. That's reality. But that's because they're in that incarceration doesn't mean I can't treat them with love and compassion. It doesn't mean I can't still give them my best. And the reason why I'm passionate about the work I do in the prison system is this: the majority of people who are incarcerated, they're going to get out one day. And if we don't teach them a new path, how can we expect that they're just going to magically have some new path in life? And just like parenting, like, okay, you're going this way, let's guide it. Let's go this way now. Let me share this other path. And my whole yield theory is about, to do that, I can't come in and be like, you're living wrong, you need to follow this. I go, teach me about out of your windshield, teach me out of your view. And I go with them. And then when they say they're angry, be angry. You're allowed to. I'm not taking apart. You're not angry at me. You don't even know me. And you made a great point, because sometimes people say it is personal. They said my name. They said this, and they said it doesn't matter. It's only personal if you allow it to be personal.
Mm-hmm.
If you see it through those divine eyes, understand that they're struggling. It's not personal. It's just not.
So beautiful. Tell us where we can find out more about your work.
Well, I do a YouTube channel, and I love telling people about this because it's absolutely free. It's free to subscribe to it. If anything that I said today was helpful, I love for people to subscribe to my YouTube channel and share it with somebody. That's definitely a huge thing. I have books and things like that. Walking Through Anger is my newest book, and it's got like over 100 little Zen tales and things like that in it. And then if it's around parenting, Zen parent, Zen child. But honestly, I just appreciate watching this episode and us doing this together. And if you could check out the YouTube, it's great. But otherwise, I just genuinely wish everybody out there peace.
Beautiful. All right, last question. Tell us what it means to you to live an empowered life.
To me, I mean, I don't know that an unempowered life is a lot of fun to live. Like like to me, an empowered life is saying that I'm tapping into my potential and I'm utilizing this divinity that I believe is within all of us. And so I believe that we can tap into this thing that is amazing. Like I use the analogy of fingers all the time. Like if this finger said, oh, you're so different over here, like, and then you realize, wait a minute, we're all the same hand. And when you can tap into that divinity and recognize that, it's beautiful. Like you focus on something that is so much bigger than your ego, than the present moment, than yourself. And you go, wait a minute, I'm connected to something that is far grander. And I think one of the greatest things we can do is kind of just look up, look at the stars, look at how big this universe is. Because when we get encapsulated by that big stuff, we're no longer inhibited by all this little stuff that gets in the way. And we are a part of all that big stuff too, because this hand doesn't just relate to us as human beings. I think it relates to the universe. That might just be a belief system, but to me, it's a really beautiful belief system, and it certainly helps me find peace.
That's beautiful. Christian, thank you so much for joining us today and helping us all put anger in a different perspective.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing. I feel honored that you reached out, that we are able to have this conversation, and I'll be open to talk to you again in the future. Thank you for the work you're doing, because you're obviously spreading a lot of love to a lot of people. And